Hi, I'm Marc Iskowitz, editor-at-large for MM+M, and I'm super excited to be part of this vodcast sponsored by Relevate Health. And we're talking about the concept of breaking through the clutter with relevance in pharma marketing. And I'm joined by my special guests, Tim Pantello, CEO of Relevate Health, and Julie Granberry, who's Chief Insights and Strategy Officer at Relevate Health. Welcome to you both.
Thanks, Marc.
Thanks,
Good to see you
Marc.
again.
Absolutely. Pleasure's mine. This is going to follow a fantastic talk we had a couple of weeks ago at MM+M Trend Talks. We talked about the challenges of personalization and omnichannel in pharma marketing. I think there's a kind of a consensus amongst patients and doctors that, pharma is kind of doing a less than stellar job at delivering, on the omnichannel and personalization kind of mandates. There's an awareness, though, amongst marketers that, coming out of the pandemic, it accelerated their digital transformation, but true one-to-one, engagement is really still kind of elusive and maybe not even realistic, considering we're talking about pharma here, not CPG. We're not selling sneakers. We're not selling automobiles. So that's one of the questions we'll talk about. But Julie, just to kind of start us off here, talk about kind of your takeaways, kind of sum up the discussion we had a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Marc. So it was an awesome experience. We had a lot of different industry experts across small to mid-sized pharma, big pharma, and what was neat, and even in medical affairs, commercial. And what was really cool about it was the fact that a lot of the themes remained the same. There's still this buzzword of omnichannel, and I do think that it's buzzworthy because of the fact that there's so many different stages in which these companies are still trying to achieve this quintessential one-to-one, and you were just talking about. And they're struggling for a variety of different reasons, from data interoperability to the fact that they've got infrastructure challenges as well, and really need to hopefully rely on some of their partners to be able to accomplish what's the end goal of having an amazing experience for their patients and also the clinicians that they're serving.
Right. Tim, how did we get here?
Well, if you think back, it was first, moving from analog to really digitizing all of the content, right? So think, 1998 maybe through 2010. And then we sort of moved into, content and context with our media being placed in the content and the creative being placed in the context of where they were in their, in trying to achieve a health information seeking task, HCPs and patients. And then we kind of, pivoted what I would say into this multi-channel place where clients were using maybe 1 to 3 channels as kind of a point solution. And now we're pivoting to what you had talked about earlier, which is the desire to really have personalization through precision, and really tailoring the content and making it really relevant. And that's where we help our clients and really delivering kind of a national, what would be like a national message or content, but really tailored in a personalized way with really locally relevant content to where they practice and where they treat. And that's where we see personalization really delivering the type of engagement that clients want. And so that's a bit of the evolution that we've seen and experienced in the industry. And then, what we're doing to address it very uniquely on behalf of our clients and delivering that engagement.
Sure. Just to delve further into that, Julie, do you want to kind of define omnichannel? I know there's a lot of kind of variability depending on who you talk to, but I'd love to hear your definition.
Yeah, so we really take it to the heart of the customer, right? So it's a customer-centric, unified brand experience across all channels. I think, again, this phrase of omnichannel can be really daunting of what's the technology I'm going to use, all the different data sets that I need. But if we take it back to the customer, whether that be the HCP or the patient, and really figure out how can I best surround him or her with a seamless orchestrated experience that's going to be relevant for them, it makes it a little bit less daunting and makes it a more of a stepwise approach of how we can achieve that mission.
Sure. And how close can you really get, given, one-to-one might not be completely, achievable, given there's a lot of intermediaries in healthcare.
I don't know. I think, I do think we can get to one-to-one.
Yeah.
Maybe we're not there this very moment. And again, that can seem extremely almost impossible, but really finding ways, as Tim was talking about earlier, to be able to do local at scale There's ways for us to leverage segmentation and get a little bit narrower, right? There's ways then for us to leverage the fact of how did he or she just interact, and then start getting closer and closer to that one-to-one. And also leveraging personalization from not just hi Dr. Blank, but really understanding what are all the different factors that influences his or her behavior through treatment behaviors, through who they went to med school with, through what congresses they're speaking at, through what channels they have affinities to, and really being able to tailor those approaches. You can get scalable that way.
Sure. So, and obviously you're going to do that by making information relevant to them, hence the relevancy mandate. Talk about, if you would, what doctors want, perhaps what they don't want.
Yeah. So doctors want relevance. So thanks for the tee up there, Mark. But they want relevance. They don't want it to feel as if they're building a relationship with your brand or your corporation. So how do we figure that out? And we leverage data. And that can be really challenging from an interoperability standpoint. And Tim's going to talk a little bit about the power of our data spine, but really being able to understand what they've clicked on, what they've found meaningful for them, and being able to build on that. A lot of it is the power of local, which is how Relevate got its start. Before we got to one-to-one, it was us really leveraging data to understand what's the access environment from a physical access to a market access standpoint. What are the treatment algorithms, right? There's a lot of different standards of care that we could leverage. Understanding the demographics, right? I live in Atlanta, and Tim here is in Jersey. What are the differences and the demographics of the patients, whether it be their access to the product, whether it be the prevalence of the disease state that the clinician is treating? So really being able to take all of that. And now we've got the power of social and online and digital influence. So being able to put that in an integrated way to understand what's driving the clinician's preferences is really, really important.
Yeah,
Sure,
I would,
sure.
To build on what Joy's saying, I would also say that the health systems, right? So depending on where you live, the integrated delivery network formation, as well as risk bearing IDNs, and so the system, where you live, your zip code is almost as important as your genetic code, right? So when we think about the power of local and tailoring to ultimately get to personalization, it is about relevance, right? And that, is what you're providing me delivering me value, and it's relevant to my practice and to my patients. And so that's what we've designed all of our data spine around, is to blend all of that data together to then power what's the right content and what's the right channel to deliver that in, and in what sequence based on their preferences. So it is the best time to be in our industry. It's great. We're a great place to be, and what we offer is really unique in the industry. And so, that's why we love this topic, Mark. So thanks for.
I could tell, yeah. I've heard I've seen some studies, maybe some conflicting results in terms of what do HCPs, providers consider their top information channels. Some of them say email because it's, I guess, it's quick, it's non-personal, whatever. Some of them say the rep is their top information source. Would love to hear what you all have found and how that translates into that data spine.
I think some of the reasons you're seeing conflicting information is it gets back to the one-to-one. Like what one clinician might want is different than another. Of course, we can't figure that out on day one. So we leverage things like a brand segmentation efforts if they've done one to understand what types of channels they might have an affinity to. And then the longer we go in their journey, the more we find out about him or her and be able to really create that precision that they're probably seeking. One of the most recent stats that I heard, though, is that around 75% of clinicians now are, loving the fact of being able to have more of the empowerment to digital versus reps being in the office, right? And being able to have more of that hybrid approach. So really now it gets into the empowerment of the clinician, being able to dictate how he or she wants to be communicated with. And we as industry and pharma alike need to be able to meet those needs in a variety of different channels.
Yeah, one of the really unique things about us is we have 9 years of historical engagement data across a multitude of channels, and we blend that in with our clients' data that they have in terms of engagement, and so we're able to design very specific, very personalized approaches for the actual individual physician in terms of tailoring the content, and then of course the sequence of channels that we use based on their preference. So you can do it at scale, and we have a lot of ability and capability and to do it right now.
Mm-hmm.
There are challenges though, in collaborating with the clients and the ecosystem and the systems of record they have. So there's, as the industry's evolved, you asked the question about how the industry's evolved. In many ways, it's evolved in terms of the data that we have and our clients have access to, and how we blend that together. But the governance of that data is really probably the biggest challenge we're going to have now and into the future.
Yeah.
And who owns that data.
Mm-hmm.
We, in almost all of our engagements, provide the physician level data back to the client, and so it can fit into their broader performance framework. Or if there's one of our media agency partners that's doing media buying and planning, and there may be a larger performance framework that they're designing towards. So when we work with clients, it's always about making sure that we're providing the data back appropriately. And I also think the systems of record at the client as well is a challenge. We've got a multitude of systems on the client end. So the IT and technical, the center of excellence groups at our clients are all at a different stage of maturity in their life cycle to support and enable omnichannel. And so many times they'll use us to fill some of those capability gaps. But most of the large pharma have made some pretty significant strides in developing their own infrastructure to deliver it. And then we augment that with our capabilities as well, and some of our media agency partners. And so we're able to really deliver it now in collaboration. Some of the smaller to mid-sized companies don't have that infrastructure, and we'll lean on folks like ourselves a little bit more for certain capabilities than others.
Mm-hmm. Can you just kind of double click on that for a second? You're talking about, how some clients have like a first party data strategy in-house, and they're in-housing some of that data capability in their MarTech. And then others kind of lean on the agency more. Would you mind talking a little bit more about that, how you kind of flex or you're nimble in terms of how you work with clients and what you're seeing most of it? Do most companies have a first party data strategy yet, the clients that you work with, or are they still relying on their AORs for that?
Yeah, it really depends. And one of our mantras at Relevate Health is to meet our clients where they are on their omnichannel journey. As Tim was just talking about earlier, we have the ability to do it self-sufficiently in our own environment on behalf of oftentimes more of the small to mid-sized pharma who may not have the infrastructure or even quite honestly the budgets or the time to be able to get as progressive as perhaps some of the larger pharma organizations. And then for the larger pharma organizations, we can leverage the PLD that we gain from our solutions and also some of our data capabilities to dock in to where they are in their journey. So really being able to be flexible is key. And also being able to work with other partners. You mentioned media partners earlier. There's a lot of different agencies inside the pharma company. There's a lot of different teams as well. You've got market access, you've got medical, you've got patient, you've got HCP. If we think about that unified customer-centric experience, ultimately, we've got to be able to find ways to weave all of those components and integration together to really get the seamless experience. And that's something that we're working on too.
Sure. And companies, clients also have their own data and analytics, departments as well. Talk about sort of integrating with those departments. Did you find that's a challenge in terms of surfacing that data, putting it to use? Because they're sitting on a lot of data, pharma companies, and but sometimes kind of actioning on it is a challenge.
Yeah, I mean, so this is where I think clients have more data than they have ever had before. The question is, how to use it to drive business intelligence, decision making, next best action. That's really personalized. So it's not just next best action that we want, but what the customer wants. And so I think what's challenging, and we see different friction points or different, capability gaps, where they might have the data, but it's not organized in a way that they can activate on it. Or derive that insight from it. And that's where we come in, and certainly the media partners as well that we collaborate with at the clients. And you also have a lot of data governance issues, IT governance challenges, and depending on where that client is in their journey, right, and what their processes are. What has evolved is the clients have all this data, but also the medical, legal, and regulatory review process, and then how to apply the multivariate content we're delivering based upon what we know, and then putting that through their system. There's some choke points there. So as much as we've all evolved from a data technology and an enablement perspective, we also have to really evolve the regulatory pathways to actually be able to execute on all of that. So there's a variety of challenges, and that's where many times the large pharma will come to us to help augment what they're doing depending on where they are in their journey.
What do you think, both of you, is the sort of the critical factor for a company in making that journey to omnichannel? Is it having that data analytics mindset from the top down? Is it kind of a nimbleness from a change management perspective? Talk about
I think
the organizational dynamic.
Absolutely. I think it's both. And I think we actually heard a lot of this in our Trend Talk session just last month. But a lot of it is, omnichannel is now, it's the expectation, as it should be, right? Because we're improving the customer experience. But we have to do it on top of the day-to-day. So there's so much to put on the marketers themselves. And also there's a lot of change management that needs to take place. You mentioned the burden that happens on regulatory and review committees. So it's a top-down initiative, and sometimes there needs to be additional education on the value of it, but also the different challenges that we can face with it.
Yeah, the collaboration and organizational design challenges and collaboration models internally at the clients, but also with their partner ecosystem is important to address, and really how to govern that. So it's putting a lot more, I would say, pressure or coordination responsibility onto the commercial leaders, whether they be brand leaders, medical affairs leaders, to help orchestrate and all that enablement that you need to support the delivery of omnichannel. And so you need really strong partners. I think to your point earlier, clients are building their own CDPs or customer data platforms, and they should. It's their customer. We're there to help them activate on that. Some of that we help them enable. We're helping one particular client right now that Julie and I are very close with enable their CDP to get the most out of it, and ultimately to get the most out of us and their other partners to deliver a better experience. So they need to continue to invest in that infrastructure to support that. And they also need great partners that understand how to use it, orchestrate it, design and deliver the content to activate on all that data. And so clients, are going to continue to invest heavily here, but they also need to invest, as Julie mentioned, in the change management and the orchestration.
Yes. So, data governance, interoperability, change management, MLR, all important considerations. And speaking of the medical, legal, regulatory kind of framework and making sure that you're kind of navigating that, modular content. I think, Tim, you mentioned that as an idea. Where do you find your clients are with that? And that's another buzzword, buzz phrase. Is that where we're moving to? Is that what kind of you steer your clients toward, as kind of a modular content paradigm?
Yeah. And we at Relevate Health have been doing modular content for years. Again, when we think about local variability, we would have, different pieces with different clinicians who might be more prominent in a specific area of the country. So we've developed ways and methodologies to help the MLR teams understand how we can create thousands of pieces of information, but get it through in a way that's manageable through the power of templating.
Yeah, and on our like a Repcast and our other solutions, MSLcast, KOLcast, we have AI and machine learning on top of their video script. So doing a video like this, if it falls outside of the purview of the claims, it's flagged and it will not be able to be sent. So we have a suite of video solutions in our Cast series of products that has built-in a regulatory governance based on the script, so that they won't be able to send it. So it would never even get to regulatory, right? So again, think about video at scale, this type of snackable content is the expectation of customers. Physicians don't live in some parallel universe. Their media diet and their consumption of channels is exactly like the format we're doing. This is the type of content they want.
Right.
Allied health professionals are people too, and how they consume the broader media content. We need to meet them with those types of experiences, and so we built solutions, tools, and products to not only do content at scale, personalization at scale, but also to do it in a regulatory compliant way to meet the volume. So each video then wouldn't need to be reviewed and approved by MLR. Right.
Why reinvent the wheel?
But then you've got it exactly, and then you've got 500 different reps who are able to personalize it themselves, but know that it's compliant and have that confidence.
Or MSL or KOL in a peer-to-peer environment. So these types of solutions are really meeting that omnichannel need. Now imagine pairing that with obviously all the other data we have and channel preference data we have, and really delivering highly relevant and engaging content. Again, that's local, but also really, really relevant.
So the rep can say, like, based on the continuity of insight, dealing with that HCP, okay, this doctor needs this type of message. Boom, there's that message, there's this message, and it's all templated. So that's
and also delivered by that rep.
And delivered by the rep, right?
Through video.
Through video.
Right? Because we just talked about
the way we're meeting with right now.
Exactly. And we just talked about the fact that HCPs might not want to have that rep, live in their office, but how great would it be to have them be able to, dictate that by getting an email from the rep with the video.
Or even in the white space where there may be limited access in an institutional setting where you couldn't get in, especially during COVID. And they've, some of those access has opened back up in certain regions and certain health systems, and other ones it's still somewhat, more limited access. So, how can you get there with really engaging content that is very personal? And then that might invite an interaction maybe outside the institutional setting where they could connect.
Yeah. And I know, Tim, you mentioned AI and ML. How do you save doctors time, using some of these newer technologies, and kind of, they're very busy. They're, even specialists keeping up, we know is a very Herculean task. What can you do to kind of make their jobs easier?
Yeah, I think, again, understanding what their preferences are and what their desires for relevant content are, and making sure that we're breaking straight through that clutter and getting right to the point is absolutely going to help save time. And the more we learn and leverage our machine learning powered decision engine to be able to do that, the more right on we're going to be with our customers.
So, Julie, where do you see the future of this kind of panning out in terms of, working with clients and vis-a-vis omnichannel and personalization?
Yeah, for sure. So, I actually have been at Relevate for what I say is 14 years, but it's really only 10. So I took a little bit of a hiatus to understand what it's like to be in the client's shoes. And I did experience some of the struggles that, we witness day to day. And one of it is connecting all the dots. So we did this one exercise where we had, during brand planning, we all got up, all the different marketers across all the different functions, put all of our different agency partners and vendors on the wall. And there were over 50 different partners and agency vendors. Wow. So that then equals they have their own data, they have their own solutions, and their own respective remits. So it left a lot of the onus on the marketers, myself included, to figure out how can I best connect all of that to create not just a seamless experience for the clinicians, but myself, and make it more manageable. So looking forward now, several years and being back at Relevate, I realized that's what I was trying to do was omnichannel, right? And being able to connect those dots, but it's a huge burden. So one of the areas where I think ourselves and others are really striving to play is to help navigate all the different seemingly disparate parties to create a seamless experience for our marketers and also the clinicians. And the way that we do that is really helping to understand, again, where they are in their journey, collaborating effectively with the media planners, with the different agencies of record, with the different solutions providers and partners, to be able to create that seamless experience through data and solutions, and also some guidance. So I don't know, Tim, do you have anything else to add?
No, I think you nailed it. I mean, there's a lot of burden on the client to orchestrate, and we remove a lot of that burden for them through the fact that we've already blended all the data together already. They don't need to get their internal organization aligned, or certainly the other parties aligned, and we partner exquisitely well with with our media colleagues in the media planning and buying side of the business. So, we are a great partner for them and a great partner for the client to really simplify the experience, to focus it on how are we going to deliver that locally relevant and engaging content that delivers on the omnichannel and personalization journey that we're all on together. It's a lot to coordinate, as you said, and I mean 50, that was a lot. So I think we can certainly help simplify things for the client and most importantly deliver.
Sure. And finally, how do you know that it's all working? Would you talk a little bit about metrics?
Yeah, for sure. So I always say to my team in-house, I say, look, team, if we can't measure it, it's as if it never happened. So, and it's not just waiting for the perfect ROI, because oftentimes at that point, the marketer that we might be working with has already moved on to another role. And so how do we actually prove out that it works? So it's all about leading and lagging indicators and those key performance indicators to ensure that it's working. So for every single initiative, understanding how we can measure and make sure that we understand from a clinician perspective, even from the marketer's goals, what are those leading and lagging indicators, and then taking pulse points along the way, getting as close to real-time metrics as possible, which then leads back to really having that integrated data to be able to do that and all the different data feeds. So we can actually optimize, double down where it's working really, really well, and actually course correct where we might be not getting the desired impact that we thought we would. And then, of course, we want to do that ROI to show that it worked and give that confidence. But we don't want to wait till the end to give confidence to the marketers and to the brands that these efforts are working. We want to give them surety along the way that it works.
Sure.
Yeah, and I would just build on Julie's thoughts there, that all of our solutions and all of our work that we do with clients, we deliver PLD back outside of our field enablement solutions, which have a different set of metrics. So all of our solutions in the non-personal promotion space and peer-to-peer space, we provide the physician level data back, whether it be to our media partners or to the client directly to their CDPs. So, the evidence is right there.
Very transparent.
It's very transparent and clear. I think to Julie's point, begin with an end in mind, and we certainly do that with all of our work, and it has to fit into a broader performance framework for the client as well, and really defining what does success look like and what is that criteria. Our solutions, we're very clear about and transparent about providing that physician level data back. So you have that surety that Julie was alluding to. So,
So great. We talked about some quite buzzy topics today, but they were buzzworthy indeed. So thank you very much for a terrific discussion. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Marc. It was awesome being with you guys today.
Yeah, thanks, Marc. Great to see you again.
Absolutely.